Alright, so this is going to be my Unit 5 review for this right here. So everyone I know has their calculator, right?
Yeah.
So let's go through this. I'm going to kind of go through kind of quick, so I need you guys following along, paying attention, no one goofing off. Alright, so if you notice right here, find tangent if sine is 3 over 4. So if I know that sine is 3 over 4, what's my y value? 3. What's my r value?
4.
What is my x value?
5.
It's not going to be 5.
We don't know.
Okay, you have to use Pythagorean Theorem to find it, right?
I'm guessing it's whatever root of 7 is.
So it's going to be, let's see, x squared plus 3 squared equals 4 squared
9
plus 9 equals 16. Subtract 9 from both sides, so that's going to give me 7. So x equals plus or minus square root of 7. And it says that theta is in quadrant 2. So quadrant 2, x value has to be negative. So it's going to be a negative rad 7. And now since I'm looking for the tangent value, tangent is going to be y over x. So tan theta is going to be y over x. So it's going to be 3
over negative.
rad 7. And I can't leave it like that, so I have to rationalize.
Do the reciprocal.
Rad 7 over rad 7, which is going to give me a negative 3 rad 7 over 7. So my answer is B.
Yay.
Okay, so let's take a look at this next one. So this next one right here. Please take out your reviews, or not your review, your reference sheet, please. These identity ones should be very, very easy. So, on your reference sheet, the blue reference sheet, it has your Pythagorean identities also. And right here it says blank plus tangent squared is equal to secant squared.
1.
There it is right there. So, blank plus tangent squared equals secant squared. So it has to be this one, so my missing value is 1.
Yay.
Easy?
That was easy.
Exactly.
Hold on, what? Hold up. Okay, never mind.
You got the blue page?
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. Alright, so now for this one, it's sine over tangent. So it's going to be, now sine translates to y over 1 divided by tangent, which is
Y over
y over x. So that's going to give me y over 1 times. We can't have fractions over fractions, so I multiply by the
reciprocal.
reciprocal of y over x is
X over Y.
x over y. What's going to happen to my y values?
Cancel out.
Cancel. So I'm left with just
X over 1.
x over 1, which translates into cosine. What's my variable here?
X.
Cosine x.
Nice.
All right, number 4.
Same thing.
So where am I at? 4. Okay, 4 is going to be a little bit more complicated, but cosecant is 1 over
Y.
1 over y times cotangent, which is
X over Y.
x over y. All that's going to be divided by secant, which is
1 over X.
very good. So on top, I'm going to be left with
X over Y squared.
x over y squared. Now, let's clean this up. Multiply by the reciprocal here.
X over 1.
X over 1
So it's going to be X squared over Y squared.
over y squared, which that translates into,
Cotangent squared X.
yep, cotangent squared x. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, so for 5, have to distribute 5. So sine, I would rewrite as what? y squared over 1, right? Because it's sine squared.
Mm-hmm.
Parentheses, what is cotangent?
X over y.
X over y, and in this case, since it's squared, it's going to be,
X squared over y.
very good, x squared over y squared plus 1. Now, this right here requires distribution, so I have to distribute this. So when I distribute this, what's going to happen to my y squared that's on top and bottom?
Cancel out.
Cancel, so I'm left with just
X squared.
over 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now when I distribute over here, I get
Y squared.
plus.
Sine squared over
Now, here's an identity. What is x squared plus y squared?
1.
So that's going to give me just 1 as my answer. So those identities weren't too bad, were they?
Much easier than the homework.
I try to make the test easier than homework. Perform the indicated operations. Okay, so right here, this is going to be 1 over
X squared over
x squared over 1, right? Minus 1 over cotangent squared is x squared over y squared. So let's take care of the reciprocals first. So I have fractions over fractions, so I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So this is going to be 1 times 1 over x squared, right?
Yep.
Minus 1 times y squared over x squared. So on the bottom, so let's see, I'm going to have 1 over x squared minus y squared over x squared. Do they have a common denominator?
Yes.
They do, so I can combine those. So it's going to be 1 minus y squared over x squared.
So 1 minus y squared equals x squared.
So this, you're exactly right. So this right here, using my Pythagorean identity, 1 minus y squared is equal to x squared. So this is going to turn into,
X squared over x squared, which is 1.
which is just gives me 1.
Yay.
All right. So you guys, I'm going to show you guys the easiest way possible. If you guys want to have the long explanation, you got to check the other video for this. So I told everyone to have your calculator in what?
Degrees.
So if your calculator is in degrees, it says cosine 255 degrees. Hit enter. And I get that number right there. So I say that's going to be approximately negative 0.2588. Okay. So since this is going to be the easiest thing, and this is a multiple choice test, no one should get any of these questions wrong, period. Now, since it's multiple choice, now I'm going to cheat because I don't want to actually do all this. I already know what the answer is. So you can plug in each one of these and see which one matches that. So I know the answer is going to be C. So I'm going to do that just to show you that it comes out to be the exact same thing. So control divide, radical 2 minus radical 6 all over 4. Hey look, it's the exact same thing there. So it's the exact same thing, and so when you guys go through and do this, yes, you can, go through and solve it, however which way. Now, since this is a multiple choice, I'm trying to help you guys out, get the highest possible scores. Alright, so now on number 8, I could do the same thing on number 8, but that's a little bit longer. Now, for this one right here, what formula is using cosine?
Cosine.
That's a cosine formula. And now if it's a cosine minus here,
It's a cosine plus.
so it's cosine of A plus B, right? So in this case right here, it's on my reference sheet if you guys get lost with this. So I know a lot of people haven't actually memorized it. So cosine, cosine with the minus sign here takes me over here to cosine plus, right? So now, if I'm going to do that, that's actually going to be the cosine of 36 plus 24. Because my A is 36 and my B is 24. Add those two together. Now, what is cosine 60 degrees? It's on your unit circle and it's also on the reference sheet.
It's 1/2.
Yes, it is 1/2.
Wow.
Now, your calculator would give you the same thing if you would have plugged in all that right there. It'll give you the exact same answer. Now, for this one, sum or difference identity. I don't remember what the answer is for this one, so I have to do these ones. Alright, so tan 75. My calculator's already in degrees. Tan 75 degrees. So that's going to be 3.73. And start plugging them in. So rad 3 minus 2. Nope. Negative 3 minus. Okay, so that's also a nope. And try it as a plus 2.
Nope.
Nope. And there we go right there.
D.
So my answer has to be D. Not bad, right? So let's go ahead and try the last one. So sine 15, or I'm sorry, sine negative 15. Sine negative 15 degrees.
Negative
2, 5, 8, 8, right there. All right, so let's see. I don't know. Let me just skip one because I don't think I want to do them all. Control here, 2. Minus rad 6 all over 4. Hey, look, it's C. So if you get lost, just plug them all in, right?
Yes.
So there's only certain problems that works with. All right, you think it's going to work with number 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is going to work with number 11. So you can plug that in.
But that takes too
And
long.
instead of the pi, do you put a 1?
No.
You would leave it pi over 15.
You can change those to degree, right? But I'm not. You guys go ahead and just plug them in as is. So if I'm plugging this in right here, what do I have to make sure I change? This is a radian problem, isn't it? So I would have to change the radian first to be able to do this one. Or I look at my formula. My formula, this one is sine cosine plus. Sine cosine, nope. Sine cosine plus. So sine of s plus t. Okay. So it's going to be sine of s plus t. So that's going to be sine of, my s value here is pi over 15 plus my t value is 4 pi over 15, which is going to give me the sine of 5 pi over 15. Now, does 5 pi over 15, does that reduce?
Yeah.
What does that reduce to?
Pi over 3.
Pi over 3. It's asking for
Yeah.
the sine of pi over 3, right? So sine at pi over 3 is what? Rad 3 over 2. So you can do it in radians also. So it came out to be right here. Okay, so now for this one right here, what does this one match? Let's see, tangent, that's a tangent identity and there's a minus sign there. Let's see, this one has a plus, this one has a minus, so it's a difference. So it's going to be tan of s minus t. So in this sense right here, it's going to be tangent of, my s value is 155 minus 35, which is going to give the tangent of 120. So, to do the tangent of 120, I have to go to my unit circle. Tangent is y over x. My y value is going to be rad 3 over 2. My x value is going to be negative 1/2. Oh wait, put that in the wrong place. This one's a minus. So it's going to be a rad 3 over 2. I multiply by the reciprocal, which would be
Times negative 2.
negative 2 over 1. What's going to happen to those 2's?
Cancel out.
So I get a negative
Rad 3
Over 1.
over 1. But do I need the 1 here?
No.
Nope. So my answer is
D.
Now, if you put that in the calculator, will it reduce?
Can I see the yellow page again?
yeah. If you put in the calculator,
Like
it
the-
will. You put this all in the calculator, it will give you a decimal.
No, but what about the square root of 3 over 2 over negative 1/2?
It's a radical, so it'll still give you a decimal.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, you can plug that in.
Yeah, you can. You can plug it in, but it's just going to take a little bit longer.
Oh.
And this was a little bit quicker to do it like this. Yes, you could plug these into the calculator. Alright, so let's take a look at number 13. 13. So now I have S and T here. So I have two different angles. So given S, I have cosine. So I know that my x value is
Oh. 1. Wait, what?
Another second. What's it?
X is 1.
Oh, no. Oh, it's
Negative, because the...
negative. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for, right? So the negative can never go with the bottom. It has to go with the top, right? There we go. So it's a negative 1. My R is
6.
6.
Y.
Did I lose anyone there? So the Y is going to be in quadrant 3. So what does that tell me about my Y value?
It's positive. Wait.
Negative. Quadrant 3 is negative. So Pythagorean Theorem. So I get negative 1 squared plus y squared equals 6 squared. 1 plus y squared, 36. Y squared equals 35. Plus or minus rad 35.
So it's just going to be negative, right? 35.
So it's negative rad 35. Now there's my S. I gotta do the same thing for my T. Because I have both. So T is this one over here. So from this one, so if I have cosine again, so my X value is
Negative 3.
my R value is
5.
my Y
We don't know.
is also in quadrant 3, so I know that's going to be negative, right?
Yes.
Pythagorean Theorem again. Negative 3 squared plus y squared equals 5 squared. 9 plus y squared equals 25. Y squared is, what do we get, 16? Yeah. So y equals plus or minus rad 16.
Which is negative 4.
So it's going to be plus or minus 4, so my answer has to be a negative 4. Because in quadrant 3, that's negative 4. Now, it's looking for cosine of s plus t. So that's going to give me cosine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's cosine s. So cosine s is going to be negative 1 over
6.
cosine t.
Negative 3 over 5.
Now, if this is a plus sign, from my formula, if you guys look right here, so it's going to be a minus. Cosine, minus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put a minus sign there. Now, it's going to be,
Negative square root 35
so yes, negative rad 35
over 6.
over 6 times sine t.
Negative 4 over 5.
Very good. So this is two negatives, giving me a positive 3 over 30. Now, if you notice, negative makes a,
Positive.
and I still have a minus sign there.
So
So
it's still going to be negative.
it's still going to be minus sign here, right? Still going to be negative. So it's going to be 4 rad 35 over 30. Do they have common denominator?
Yes.
So it's 3 minus 4 rad 35 over 30. So let me see. 3 minus
So B.
B.
What will we used to do if we get an A on the test?
Yep.
Then
Okay.
it has to be both of them, right?
Together.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look. And for this one right here, same thing. Let's see. How much time do I got? I think I have enough time.
We have 20 minutes.
Yeah. So for this one, I again have an S and T, so S. So given this right here, what's my X value?
Negative 12.
My R value is
13.
my Y.
We don't.
It's going to be in quadrant 2 now, right?
Yeah.
So when I do my Pythagorean theorem, plus y squared equals 13 squared, 144 plus y squared equals 169. Y squared is equal to 25. Y equals plus or minus square root of 25.
And since it's in quadrant 2, the y is going to be positive.
Very good. So plus or minus 5, so it's going to be a positive 5 here. So there's my S. Got to do the same thing with my T. So given this right here, so what do we know?
Negative 3 is our x.
You have sine, don't you?
Oh, I was looking at
Sine is your Y value, isn't it?
So,
Yeah.
use
So
Y.
is 8.
8.
R is 17.
X. Now in quadrant 2, what do we know about X in quadrant 2?
It's negative.
Very good. So I'm going to have x squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. X squared plus 64 equals
289.
289. So minus 64
225.
equals 225
Mm-hmm. And that
So-
gives you square root.
plus or minus square root of 225
Is 15.
plus or minus 15. And since x is in quadrant 2,
It has to be a negative.
negative 15. Very good. All right, so this time I'm looking for sine of
S plus T.
s plus t. So my formula right here, s plus, right? S
Right
plus
there.
t.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be sine, cosine.
Cosine,
Plus.
sine.
Okay, so it's going to be sine s,
Sine of
sine of s,
5 over 13.
cosine of t,
Negative 15 over 17.
and plus sine. So now it's going to be cosine, which is
Negative 12 over 13.
and my last one's gonna be sine, right?
Yeah. 8 over 17.
So when I multiply these together, 5 times 15 is gonna give me, what's it, negative
Negative 75.
75 over 13 times
221.
221?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Alright, so now I have a minus sign here, or a negative right there, and it's a plus, so it's gonna change this to a minus, right?
Yes.
Minus, what's that gonna be? 96
What is the? Can
over,
you slide it over?
Yeah, it's
some?
90.
oh, I'm off screen, sorry.
It's okay.
So
No.
minus 96 over 221. So minus, and I have a negative, so it should get a bigger negative.
171.
So negative 171 over 221. Does that reduce? Let's see. That's 8, 9. Yes.
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay. So my answer has to be C. I think that's right. Yes. Yes. All right. Let's take a look at this one right here. This one, I'm doing the same thing, but this time I'm just gonna leave the variable. So for this formula, it's s minus t. So it's this one right here, sine, cosine, minus. So it's gonna be sine x cosine pi over 2
Negative 5. Oh wait. no.
minus, right? And then it's going to be cosine of x, then it's sine of pi over 2. All right, so now, unit circle. Cosine of pi over 2 is what? Yes, but what is the cosine? 0. Minus. So it's cosine x times, what's sine?
Pi over
What's the sine at pi over 2?
2. 1.
Very good. So it's just going to be 1, right? Anything times 0 is?
0.
So that's 0
So it's gone.
minus just cosine x. So my answer is going to be?
Negative cosine x.
Very good. Negative cosine x.
What? Oh.
Oh, too far. So 16. Okay, so use an identity to write expression as a single trig function. Now, what formula is uses that? It's a tangent, but which tangent? Is it a double or is it a half? Let's take a look.
It's double, right?
Let's see. Here's tangent double, so it's 2 tan x.
Yeah, it's double.
Okay, so this is this one right here, right?
Uh-huh.
So here's my tangents for my halves. So it doesn't match that. So I'm going to actually use this one right here. So in this case right here, my x value is going to be what? 15, right? So it's going to be tangent of 2 times 15. Right? This is one of the ones that you work backwards. So 2 times 15 is?
30.
Okay. Tangent at 30 on my unit circle. So yes, it's y over x, so it's 1/2 divided by rad 3 over 2. So it turns into 1/2 times the reciprocal, which is 2 over rad 3. 1 over rad 3. And I can't leave it like that, so I have to rationalize, right? So multiply top and bottom by rad 3, which is going to give me rad 3 over 3. So my answer has to be C. Now,
Wait, can you slide it over?
yeah, I was just going to say that. Now, because we have all numbers here on this one, we can just plug it all in and check which one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I could plug that in, and I'll get decimals on it.
It will stay in degrees when you're doing that one, correct?
Yes, stay in degrees.
Only if it has 35.
Alright, so we are on 17.
This is where I messed up.
Now, find sine 2 theta. This one right here, you can't just plug in. You're going to have to do the math on this one. So if this is a single angle, then you know your x, y, and r. Single angle, you know x, y, and r.
And
So-
you know it's a single angle because why not?
It
There's not a 2.
Yeah, there's no 2, and it's not theta over 2. So this is going to be, so tangent is what over what?
Y over x.
So my y value is,
21.
my x value is,
20.
and my r, Pythagorean Theorem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 21 squared plus 20 squared equals my r squared.
It's 441.
441 plus 400 equals r squared. And it's,
841.
so r
29.
is equal to plus or minus square root of 841. And
it's 29.
it's going to be plus or minus 29. Now, r always has to be,
Positive.
thank you, always has to be positive. So that's going to be 29, right? So, given that much information right there, you have enough to do this. So it says find sine 2 theta. So for my formula, here's sine 2 theta, right? So it's 2 sine cosine. 2 sine cosine. So 2, my sine value is going to be 21 over 29. My cosine is going to be 20 over 29. So do the math. Should be something over 841. For what?
420.
420. Like that? Does that reduce? Nope. Okay.
840 over-
So we come up with, he said 420.
No, because they didn't multiply it by
Yeah.
2.
He didn't multiply by
Yeah,
2?
it's 840.
840 over 841.
Let's see.
So it's
Yeah.
positive
B.
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 Alright, so you guys really want to do this one as a half angle identity? Say no.
Why?
Oh, my.
Okay, so cosine of the half angle. So whenever I'm doing a half angle, what's the first thing I do? Multiply by 2. So if I'm going to do that, it would be cosine 150, right? Cosine 150, then plug it into my half angle identity, which would be this right here.
Ugh.
Do you guys like doing those?
No.
So what should you do instead? Let's plug it in.
Okay.
So cosine 75 degrees.
0.2588.
And let's see which one of those actually works for that. I don't know which one it is. So control divide. So it's going to be 2 plus grab 3 all
It's gonna be
over
D.
2. You say D?
I say D.
She says D.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there it is. It is D. Easy process of elimination.
Yeah, because I don't understand that.
Alright, I told you guys will love me after this review. Because it made the whole thing
It's
easier.
starting to come through. Is that what you said?
Huh?
Did you say it's starting to come true?
Alright, so now this one says find a half angle. Given this right here. So now on this one right here, I have to find my cosine. Okay? And so you have to do a little bit of work on this one. So this is a single angle, isn't it? Say yes.
Yes.
If it's a single angle, you know your x, y, and r, right?
Yeah.
Okay, given sine, I know that my y value is,
1,
my r is,
4.
and then my x is going to be something. So Pythagorean Theorem, x squared plus 1 squared equals 4 squared, x squared plus 1 equals 16, X
squared equals 15.
plus or minus square root of 15, and
This is what I don't like.
it says terminates right here. What does this mean? X is referring to my angle, right? And it's in quadrant 1. So this right here is telling me that this is in quadrant
Because
1.
you go from 0 to pi over 2.
0 to pi over 2 is quadrant 1, right?
It's positive.
So it's positive. Very good. So it's a positive rad 15. Now, sine of the half angle. Here's the half angle, here's the sine. 1 minus
You have to
cosine.
do that?
You'll see in a second, okay? 1 minus, so it's the plus or minus, right? On the outside. The cosine of whatever my angle is. This one, in this case, it's x over there. Now, so it's going to be plus or minus 1
Square root 15 over 4.
all over 2. Now, this is what you're going to do. So, once you get to this point right here, because it is 2 on the bottom, because my formula has 2.
Oh, because you put x up at the top. That's why I was really confused.
Oh, cosine x, because my variable
No,
here
no,
is
but
x.
you put it over x. All
Oh,
over
I'm
x.
sorry, you're right. Forgive me. Okay. Now, disregard the plus or minus because that means whatever it's going to end up at eventually in that quadrant. So we
Plug it in.
are just going to do this. So, big square root. Hit the wrong button. So, big square root. So, do the square root and on the inside do your fraction. 1.
Over 2. It doesn't say what?
So, control divide again. So, rad 15 over 4
It didn't.
all over 2, right?
It says a non-real calculation.
Then you made a mistake on your entering it. So this comes out right here to 0.126. Because you need all of that inside the radical.
Oh.
So let's find out which one that is. So if I'm going to find out which one that is, it's probably going to be one of these ugly ones. So I'm going to start with one of those.
It's soon.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Have it set up. 8 minus 2 rad 15. Okay, and then right there, it's all over 4. So make sure your radical on this one is only on the numerator. Hit enter, and there we go. It is C. Does that make sense?
So I feel so much better about this.
Okay. I have like 1 minute left.
How fast will you be cleaning?
No. Watch. On this one right here, which formula is being used? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I moved it too far up. So which formula is 1 minus cosine?
Tan of a. Oh wait.
That one's sine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what is my A value here?
28.
28.
Should
So-
you just plug that in the calculator as well?
Oh.
Nope. You don't have to plug it in here. So if this is my sine of theta over 2 equals minus cosine of 28 degrees over 2. Now, what is my theta? What is my angle here? It's 28, right? So it's going to be sine of 28 over 2. What is 28 over 2? So my answer is going to be sine of,
Where'd the 28 come from?
see this right here? That number?
Yeah.
That number is 28.
Yeah.
This is my A value here.
Oh, so, okay.
So this number comes out here, and I simplify sine 14. All
You
right.
could also put it in.
Yeah, you could also just plug it in and check which one. All right, so don't forget, like and subscribe, all that good stuff.